for us to be partnering with a ministry called Moclam, where we've been part of this partnership for the last couple of years, raising money for Spanish online training. And it is a real blessing for us. I think we've got quite a big man to come along, so I'm very excited. I've been staying at Steve Abbott's place, and here's a picture of John on his wall, so every time I sit down at his study, I just see John's face, so I feel like I get to know John a bit, but now it's nice to see you in person. John is the New South Wales coordinator of CMS, and again, high five our friends in Dubai as well. So what a blessing that we're all here together. But you're going to share with us a bit about CMS and then a bit about Moclam this morning. So we're really excited. So would you welcome John Lovell this morning? And I will hand over to you, John.
Thank you. Great to be here with you this morning, friends, and as Langdon mentioned, to share briefly about CMS and particularly to share an update about Moclam ministry across the Spanish-speaking world. CMS has a vision to see a world that knows Jesus, and we set apart Christians in partnership with local churches and send them out across the world to share the good news of the Lord Jesus. Next slide has a picture of our family. Prior to my role leading the New South Wales and ACT branch, our family were missionaries in Spain for 10 years. Our 2 younger children were born there, 5 daughters and a son, you might notice. The locals used to say how lucky Eli was to have 6 mothers. He is very well cared for. For many of our years in Spain, the focus of my ministry was with Moclam. I initially went to lead a local church and continued in that ministry, but the Moclam training ministry was so significant and there were such exciting opportunities for equipping locals to better understand the scriptures that became more and more prominent a part of my ministry during our time there. But it is helpful to understand where the Moclam ministry fits within the broader work of CMS. I'm just going to play a short video which gives a summary of what CMS is on about and why Moclam is one of the ministries that we are committed to. As we work to see a world that knows Jesus, there are 3 key areas that CMS are focused on. 1 is reaching gospel-poor peoples for Christ. 2 is equipping leaders for church and society. And you may immediately identify that's where our Moclam ministry particularly fits in. And 3rd is engaging churches in cross-cultural mission, in global mission. And we're excited to partner with churches like Figtree in supporting gospel work around the world. Now, this is a slide that just gives a snapshot of the work that's going on through CMS as at the beginning of this year. So we have 182 missionaries located across the world, serving in a range of different ministries in those different areas that I just mentioned. and Moclam certainly falls into that picture. And all of this is done in partnership with local ministries in the places where we send those missionaries. So we're very deliberate in being locally led, in having our missionaries serve in partnership. And that will be evident with some of the updates in regards to our Moclam ministry, that ministry of training and equipping locals and church leaders is done in partnership with the local church, local denominations, Christian university ministries. The International Director of Moclam, Adrian, is my brother, as was mentioned, so I told him he needed to get me an update within the last few days. So this is a very fresh update for you on what's been happening among the Moclam team and their ministry. These are some statistics from the last 12 months. 830 enrolments in Moclam courses. If you know the size of the team serving with Moclam, you'll realise that's a really large number of students for quite a small team to manage the enrolment, the teaching and supervision, the support of their assessments and assignments they do as they learn, the marking of all of those exams, and the management of the infrastructure that sits behind that, the IT, the data. It's a huge amount of work, but it's exciting to see the number of lives that are being impacted through this ministry. So 830 enrolments in 17 countries. We don't have Moclam workers in 17 countries. As you would expect, the pandemic has accelerated the online classes and learning and has created new opportunities for teaching. I'm told there have been many classes offered online with students connecting from multiple different Spanish-speaking countries for that one class to gather together with other students and study the Bible together. Next slide. Current state of affairs. The pandemic, as you would expect, has had a significant impact on the work of the Moclam team. A lot of the classes in the past were taught face-to-face, which was no longer possible, and so there was a need to quickly shift to not just online teaching, but also to facilitate online exams, again through the technology, an online platform, setting up online payments, virtual classes. There was a bunch of things that needed to happen very quickly and did happen, and we're excited by the opportunities that have come through that. Most classes continue to be virtual, although face-to-face classes are now starting to return and picking up, which is a positive thing. Though Zoom fatigue, which I'm sure many of us are familiar with, has been a factor, and it's been harder to motivate some people to do another online thing with so many other aspects of their life forced online. Having a Moclam class online, it was just hard to motivate people to get excited about. On the flip side, there were some people, for various reasons, often geography, travel, time restrictions, where an online class was much more accessible and was actually more manageable for them to continue studying, because it's a 2-minute walk, well, it's a 20-second walk to the study to jump on the computer and join the class. Ongoing projects. There's significant ongoing translation and resource development, which is an important part of the ministry of Moclam. Reworking the evaluation requirements for the second and third certificates. Each certificate is 6 subjects, so 3 certificates, 18 subjects in total. Reworking those evaluations to ensure students are trained in exegesis, interpretation and application of the Bible. There's New Moore College Diploma of Biblical Theology, which is being translated. That's a significant translation project that will provide a further course that can be offered by the Moclam team, and just continual work updating course notes with clearer Spanish and a more modern presentation of the booklets. And if you're familiar with the PTC courses, you'll know there's a number of different diagrams and illustrations throughout those notes, and they're being progressively updated through the different courses that are being used. Challenges. The Moclam team is small, and there are a lot of people in the world who speak Spanish. We could triple, quadruple the size of the Moclam team and still feel like it's a drop in the ocean as far as the opportunity for training and equipping Spanish speakers in their understanding and confidence to rightly handle the scriptures. Reconnecting with ministries and networks post-pandemic. There's a restart. We're familiar with this in other contexts here as well. That's a challenge for the team. There's an awareness of the limited resources, especially human resources, for teaching, marking, growing the many ministry opportunities. Adrian did say they are tremendously thankful for the financial partnership that has made possible a number of these translation projects, which can be done with external support rather than having the team members do that, freeing them up for teaching and ongoing work. So that partnership from churches like Figtree is really significant in seeing the ministry move forward. But a particular prayer point for us is that God would raise up more workers to be sent out and join the Moclam team. That would be brilliant. Sunday morning, I woke up to a WhatsApp message from a dear friend in Spain who started studying Moclam with me and my wife about 8 years ago. Now, she obviously had no idea that I was coming down here to speak with you, and only makes contact every 6 months or so. But I woke up to this message on Sunday morning. I've finished Moclam, well, the first certificate, which is sufficient for now. That's 6 subjects. Thank you so much for introducing me to these courses. I'm now more prepared to share the gospel with those around me and to speak of why I'm so happy following Jesus. The exciting thing about Patricia, her name is that she started studying 7 or 8 years ago when our family were there serving in Valencia. And we've now come back to Australia for me to take up this different role, but CMS have sent out other workers. Jim and Tanya French, who some of you may know, they went to, and we passed the baton to them for them to continue the work of Moclam in Spain. And I'm going to invite Jim up because he's here this morning, despite having arrived from Spain just 2 days ago. Give Jim a round of applause for joining us. It's very exciting to see that the work of training and equipping continues, that God is raising up others to continue this work. And as I said, we'd love, and I'm sure Jim would love, to see more people raised up and sent out to do this work. But I thought it would be helpful to hear Jim's perspective as a current member of the Moclam team. We've got a few photos up here which we're just going to scroll through, and I'll get Jim to talk through what's going on in this context and ask a few questions to help us understand a bit more of what Moclam ministry is like in Spain. Now, my first question, Jim, I notice a number of these groups are pretty small. Is that something that we should be discouraged by? Why do you think it's worth the investment in training such small groups?
Yeah, thanks, John. They are small, and particularly in Spain. We have 25 students studying Moclam over the nation of Spain. And it is small, but we've really taken a discipleship model in Spain in particular, where the smaller groups mean that we're not only just teaching them how to read and understand the Bible with a focus on our Lord Jesus, which is the idea behind the Moclam courses. That's the big picture. But we're actually walking alongside them and to be able to disciple them in all sorts of areas of their life. And so that's one of the great things about having small numbers. Thanks to modern technology, we were doing online platform communication before the pandemic hit. That became more important, as John said. During the pandemic, we were able to connect with people still and to deliver the material over that form, that medium. We do that, but we also do the small groups in Spain where there'll be up to a dozen people in a room. We do it in intensively, so it could be on a Saturday morning, or invite people over to our meeting room or to a church, and to go through a number of the first units in a particular subject, and then come back at another later time to finish that material off. That particular slide up there is our American colleague. His name is Dan. He is delivering a course in the Grand Canaries, and so that's a set of islands off the west coast of Africa. And so that's the geographical spread of the work in Spain. It's all over the peninsula, as well as the islands down into Africa. And one of the great things that Dan has continued on from what John started was a connection with a pastor in Las Palmas in Gran Canaria. His name is Pepe. He's a significant person within the evangelical churches of Spain. And Pepe is keen on training up leaders, and so he's got quite a big church in Las Palmas Evangelical Church, and he just runs the Moclam courses reoccurring throughout the year. He'll do 3 or 4 subjects reoccurring. He's got about 12 of his people at his church that he's training. And so Dan will go there to kick off a particular subject. He'll do a weekend of training from Friday through to Saturday afternoon, starting the units in that particular course. He'll then pass the baton on to the pastor, Pepe, or his elder, teaching elder, and they'll continue through the middle of the course, the bulk of the course, and then Dan will finish up at the end. We'll just finish off the last of the units, prepare them for their essay, prepare them for their exam, and that'll finish, and then he'll start another subject. And we really love that model. Why we love that model is because we're not having to teach it. We're few on number, there's only 3 of us in Spain. We love the idea that a local pastor is actually doing the teaching of his people in his own church, or a teaching elder from that church. And so that particular model, which is one of the models we're trying to run in Spain, is something we'd like to see happen throughout the whole of the country, throughout the whole of the nation. So it's working well in Las Palmas and Gran Canaries, and we'd love you to pray that that model of finding a pastor who's willing to use the Moclam course with his own people to train, raise, equip the next generation of leaders for his own church, for the evangelism that happen in that area. We'd love that to be happening more and more throughout the nation of Spain. So we've got numbers of models. We've got a discipleship model happening that's happening with small groups, one-on-one. We've got a local pastor using it to train and equip his own people. We'd like to see that happen more and more. But it is very exciting that this work is raising up local leaders that will be influential in Spain as well as in the Latin American areas here. That one up there is my wife, Tanya. She's the one with the green mask looking directly at you. She's with Miriam, who's to the left as you're facing the screen. Miriam's a GBU work, and that's the university evangelical work that happens in the campuses throughout Spain. So that's another area of significance where we're training up those particular leaders to do the evangelism, the work of training and equipping university students as they then go from their universities into their local areas. The girl with the woman with the child is Ruth. She's also been through that GBU group of contacts in Spain. She's now got 2 children, and the flexibility of the course means that she can study as well. And that's one of the great things about Moclam. It's very simple, accessible to lots and lots of people, but also that it's flexible in the way that it can be delivered. And so Tanya's doing it here with these 2 women, one of whom, Ruth, is married to Joel. And even though there's small numbers here in Spain, one of the great things that God has given to us is strategic people. And Ruth's husband, Joel, works in our office, so he's working shared workspace that we have. He's a journalist, and he's the editor of Evangelical Focus, an online Protestant newspaper that goes out each week. And he's a significant young leader within Spain, but not only in Spain, within the nation of Europe, within Europe as a whole. And so that's one of the things I think we've seen God bring not that many people, not that many students, but the ones that we do have in Spain are significant. And we see God working in that way.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for coming to share with us. Thank you for the invitation. We are thankful for your partnership with Moclam and do trust that you're encouraged by the way God is at work through these courses, and do pray for God's continued work and that He would be raising up more people for this exciting ministry.
Thank you, John. I'm going to invite Rob to come up. Welcome to our Global World Missions Conference. This is our annual time to think about mission, to challenge us about what it means to be on mission, to raise money for our mission partners, and to build our biblical understanding of mission. This year our theme is Every Nation Needs to Know.
Every nation needs to know there's salvation in your name alone. For your kingdom we must go to all of the earth, all of the earth. Every nation needs to know.
During the week, you're going to hear from some of our wonderful mission partners. They are our friends in Dubai, the Bible Society supporting Indigenous translators, Moclam, Spanish-speaking theology, EE Hope for Kids in Ethiopia, BCA's work at the Village Church in Jindabyne, African Enterprise, and we even have our brand new partner this year, Open Doors. Bula. So over this week, as you hear about the mission partners, why not pray and consider how you might support them? As you hear from our partners over this week, our prayer is that God would move you to support them. This year our goal is to raise $112,000 for mission. Would you help us do that? Giving is quite easy. You can do that on our website by clicking on your favourite partner, or you can give direct debit or bring your money in and put it in our offertory box. So join us and be a part of this year's World Missions Conference.